After officially announcing the signing of Anthony Elanga, Newcastle's transfer business is getting more exciting.
How? Hold on, bro. How?
So from revealing the recent agreed deal, to breaking down the massive developments regarding the potential signing of Hugo Ekitike, to discussing the exciting update regarding Newcastle's potential move for Giorgio Scalvini, we'll also reveal the massive twist regarding Isak's Newcastle future. As per, join us as we'll break it all down and discuss the latest Newcastle United transfer news.
Let's go.
So it all unfolded rapidly, and for many Newcastle fans, it stirred memories of the Alexander Isak saga back in August 2022, when whispers of a move turned into a club record signing almost overnight. Over the past few days, Newcastle's pursuit of Hugo Ekitike escalated dramatically. By Monday evening, Sky Sports released a major update via their German correspondent, Florian Plettenberg, alongside Northeast reporter Keith Downie, suggesting that a deal was moving into serious territory. In Germany, Plettenberg reported that Newcastle had initiated concrete talks with Ekitike's representatives. The aim, to reach a verbal agreement with the player before moving on to formal negotiations with his club, Eintracht Frankfurt. At that stage, no direct talks between the clubs had taken place, but Newcastle was said to be prepared to meet Frankfurt's valuation. Meanwhile, Manchester United and Liverpool were reportedly monitoring the situation, yet it was clear Newcastle were taking the lead, acting early and showing serious intent. Keith Downie soon added fuel to the fire. Posting on X, he confirmed that Newcastle were preparing a club record bid, hoping to land the 23-year-old forward to play alongside Alexander Isak, not instead of him. Shortly after, Fabrizio Romano followed up with further confirmation. He stated that discussions between Newcastle, Frankfurt and Ekitike's camp were ongoing, with negotiations centering around the financial structure, both from a club-to-club and player perspective. Then came the breakthrough. Romano revealed in a Tea Time exclusive that Newcastle had officially submitted a written offer for the French striker. According to his sources, the Magpies' proposal exceeded the €70 million bid previously received from another club earlier in the summer. Newcastle submitted an official bid today to Eintracht Frankfurt for Hugo Ekitike, proposal higher than €70 million previously offered by another club this summer, with Newcastle pushing to get the deal done. Negotiations underway, Romano posted. The intent was unmistakable. Ekitike had long been viewed as one of Europe's most promising young forwards, and this move underlined Newcastle's ambition not just to invest in future talent, but to strengthen the front line alongside their current star, Isak. Behind the scenes, the club believed the player wanted the move. According to ESPN's Julian Lawrence, Ekitike was reportedly ready to undergo a medical, with a total package close to £69.5 million. Lawrence explained that the striker was eager to break into the French national team and saw the Premier League and Champions League football at Newcastle as his best route to catching Didier Deschamps' attention. Further credibility came from the iPaper's Mark Douglas, who revealed that Eddie Howe remained a big admirer of Ekitike. The Newcastle boss had already tried to sign him twice in 2022. He saw Ekitike as a perfect complementary piece to Isak, a tall, technically gifted forward capable of playing in a two-man system. That same vision also saw Newcastle target João Pedro, before the Brazilian opted to join Chelsea. But just as momentum seemed to be building, came a twist. In a significant update from Sky Sports News, Newcastle's €80 million bid had been rejected by Frankfurt. However, Sky Sports Germany's Florian Plettenberg revealed that the sticking point wasn't the overall fee, but rather the payment structure attached to it. Details were vague, but early indications suggested that Frankfurt were seeking a more favorable upfront sum instead of heavily staggered payments over time. Plettenberg added that Frankfurt sporting director Markus Krösche wanted more for the striker, hinting that other clubs had signaled they would be willing to meet higher demands. That claim raised eyebrows. If rival clubs were ready to outbid Newcastle, why hadn't they already? It felt like a tactical message, perhaps designed to pressure Newcastle into sweetening their offer, or spark panic by suggesting a bidding war was on the horizon. Whether it was bluff or fact, one thing had become clear. The clock was ticking. Newcastle had the player's interest, had put serious money on the table, and had shown a clear plan to pair him with Isak. But to avoid missing out on Ekitike for the third time in 3 years, they would need to return with a revised offer, one that ticked every box for Eintracht Frankfurt. For now, the ball was once again in Newcastle's court. However, Just as Newcastle intensified their pursuit of Hugo Ekitike to form a strike partnership with Alexander Isak, a new complication emerged, and it came from Merseyside. On Tuesday afternoon, a flurry of breaking reports from David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano revealed that Liverpool had entered the frame, making their first move for Newcastle's Swedish talisman. According to Ornstein, the Reds made an initial approach to explore the possibility of a deal for Alexander Isak. While they stopped short of submitting a formal bid, their interest was very real. Newcastle, however, made their position crystal clear. Isak was not for sale. Fabrizio Romano quickly added more fuel to the fire. He confirmed that Liverpool had initiated direct contact with Newcastle, indicating their intent to table what could be a club record bid for the 24-year-old striker. As speculation ramped up, Sky Germany's Florian Plettenberg claimed that an opening offer was in the works, while Newcastle continued to hold firm on their valuation. Keith Downie then weighed in with further clarity. According to his update, Newcastle had reiterated their stance. Isak was not available this summer, and if he were, the valuation would be north of £150 million. Despite Newcastle's resistance, Liverpool weren't backing off entirely. Behind the scenes, they were still exploring whether a deal in the region of £120 million could tempt the Magpies into changing their stance on Isak, a figure that, given the club's valuation and long-term plans for the striker, seemed unlikely to be entertained. Romano returned with another update confirming that Liverpool had indeed made a club-to-club approach, echoing earlier claims. The Italian journalist once again highlighted that the decision rested with Newcastle, but warned that if negotiations over Isak went nowhere, Liverpool were prepared to move aggressively for Ekitike. So as Newcastle focuses on their pursuit of Hugo Ekitike, they continue pushing for him after seeing their opening bid rejected, but Liverpool's involvement complicates matters. What looks like a bold but manageable move for the French forward now risks being derailed by a high-stakes power play from Anfield. It becomes clear, Liverpool draws a line. If they can't secure Isak, they are ready to take Ekitike, potentially leaving Newcastle empty-handed on both fronts. In essence, Liverpool's message to Newcastle is, let us have Isak for a record fee or we'll take the forward you're trying to sign instead. This is a bold maneuver, a power move that backs Newcastle into a corner. Refusing to sell Isak rightly could cost them the chance to secure Ekitike, especially if Frankfurt prefers a quick full-cash deal that Liverpool is better positioned to offer. For Newcastle, the challenge now isn't just about holding firm, it's about responding quickly, structuring the right offer, and keeping their forward plans intact before the window twists even further. However, despite Newcastle United's pursuit of Hugo Ekitike and the potential transfer of Alexander Isak being intricately linked, the Swedish striker's future now coming under close scrutiny. According to Craig Hope of the Mail, Isak feels let down by the club due to an unfulfilled promise regarding a new contract, initially made by Amanda Stavely and the previous co-ownership team. A year after their exit, that promise remains unhonored. Former sporting director Paul Mitchell was aware of the agreement, but did not act on it, believing Isak was adequately compensated with 4 years still left on his original deal. However, the lack of progress on improving his contract has led to frustration for the striker, as he now feels the promise made to him has not been fulfilled. With 3 years remaining on his contract, the situation has created a tense backdrop for Isak's career. The missed commitments and inaction from the club are raising questions about his future. Will he seek a transfer, especially with Liverpool reportedly interested? Newcastle has made it clear that Isak is not for sale, valuing him upwards of £150 million. However, they are planning to offer him improved terms to acknowledge his strong performances over the past season. The big question now is whether Isak is willing to sign a new deal. As of now, it's unclear if he is ready to commit. With Liverpool expected to make a formal approach soon, Newcastle's hierarchy is reportedly braced for a bid, heightening the tension surrounding the situation. As the summer transfer window progresses, Isak's future remains uncertain. The looming interest from Liverpool adds an unpredictable element to what is already a critical moment in his career, and for Newcastle United as they navigate potential changes in their squad. Then, as Newcastle United's transfer activity continues to heat up, particularly in their pursuit of a new centre-back. One name that has emerged prominently in recent discussions is Giorgio Scalvini of Atalanta. Interest in Marc Guehi appears to be waning, shifting the spotlight onto Scalvini, with several journalists, including Fabrizio Romano, Mark Douglas, Craig Hope, and Luke Edwards, reporting on Newcastle's growing interest. Italian journalist Matteo Moretto was among the first to highlight the club's pursuit, noting that Newcastle is showing very strong interest in the young defender. Moretto provided an update, stating that Atalanta's fixed valuation of €50 million, or £43.2 million, for Scalvini remains unchanged. He emphasized that Newcastle has yet to make an official offer, but hinted that if the club is willing to meet Atalanta's asking price, there could be a favorable outcome. He described Scalvini as a very important player for Atalanta, suggesting that while they consider him unsellable, strategic negotiations could open the door for a transfer if a substantial offer is made. Speaking on Fabrizio Romano's YouTube channel, Moretto has issued an update on our pursuit, saying, "True, I repeat, Newcastle's strong, very strong interest in Giorgio Scalvini. As of today, Atalanta has not dropped its fixed valuation of €50 million, £43.2 million, for Scalvini. So in short, we'll understand whether it could be a suitable investment for Newcastle or not. To date, there hasn't been an official offer for Scalvini from Newcastle yet. Clearly, we'll see if the situation can evolve in a certain sense or not. However, for Atalanta, who consider Scalvini a very important player, I would dare say he's unsellable, but sometimes the word unsellable is also used for strategic reasons. Clearly, if an offer higher than €50 million were to arrive, I believe that Atalanta could really evaluate him." Adding to the intrigue, last week's reports from iPaper indicated that Scalvini is intrigued by a potential move to the Premier League, with Newcastle, Tottenham and Manchester United all expressing interest. Notably, Sandro Tonali has been actively encouraging Scalvini about life on Tyneside and the positive environment under Eddie Howe, further strengthening Newcastle's position in this pursuit. So as the transfer window progresses, it will be interesting to see if Newcastle decides to act on their strong interest in Scalvini and whether they are prepared to meet Atalanta's valuation to secure his signature. Then, amid the excitement surrounding Newcastle United's pursuit of Hugo Ekitike, the club's fans were taken aback by Liverpool's recent interest in Alexander Isak. Despite the buzz, Newcastle remains firm that the 25-year-old striker is not for sale. However, the situation is different for midfielder Sean Longstaff. Newcastle has anticipated Longstaff's departure this summer, and recent developments suggest that a move is imminent. Leeds United had previously shown interest, with an offer of €10 million plus €2 million in add-ons being rejected by Newcastle. Many fans felt it was the right time to cash in on the 27-year-old. Now, The Athletic's David Ornstein has reported that Leeds have reached an agreement in principle to sign Longstaff. With only 12 months left on his contract, this is an opportune moment for Newcastle to sell, especially as his departure would significantly improve the club's profitability and sustainability (PSR) position. Sky Sports News reporter Keith Downie added that Leeds is set to pay more than £12 million for Longstaff, meeting Newcastle's expectations for a transfer fee. This move not only aligns with Newcastle's financial strategy, but also provides Leeds with a solid Premier League midfielder, who brings valuable experience as they aim to stay competitive after their promotion from the Championship. Longstaff is leaving with the best wishes of Newcastle fans. Although he has fallen out of favour in recent months, he has been a crucial player during Eddie Howe's tenure. He delivered memorable performances, including a crucial brace in the semi-finals of the 2023 Carabao Cup and a key goal in the famous victory against Paris Saint-Germain. Ultimately now, as Longstaff prepares for this new chapter, it marks the end of an important era for both him and Newcastle United, with fans hoping he thrives at Leeds. Then, Eddie Howe has received an early boost ahead of the new season with the return of Joelinton, who is now fully fit after overcoming injury issues. The Brazilian midfielder missed the final stretch of last season due to a knee problem, and his absence was keenly felt as Newcastle struggled without their primary enforcer in midfield. Joelinton made his comeback in a behind-closed-doors friendly against Carlisle United, where he not only played 45 minutes, but also found the back of the net in a convincing 4-0 victory. This performance bodes well for Newcastle as they prepare for the upcoming campaign. Reflecting on his recovery, Joelinton expressed his frustration over missing important games at the end of the last season. He emphasized the challenges he faced during his rehabilitation, stating, "I've had a long time to recover. The start of it was very difficult as personally I was very frustrated about the injury at the end of the season. There was a lot of important games and I could have been with the team. I was very sad, but I knew I had to step out and recover because of my knee as I couldn't help the team in the way I wanted. We've seen in the past for players like Joelinton and Sven Botman that being rushed back from injury almost never has a positive outcome, so it's a relief to see that the team decided not to risk the Brazilian. In the friendly against Carlisle, Joelinton's goal was part of a dominant performance, with Sean Longstaff, Jacob Murphy, and Ben Parkinson also getting on the scoresheet. This early display of form sets a positive tone for the rest of pre-season as Newcastle gears up for their tour of Asia. With most of the squad expected to be available, Howe will be relieved to have Joelinton back in the mix, as his presence is crucial for the team's ambitions in the upcoming season.